Morning, Holly here. I wanted to do a quick video talking about my experience of going to Mexico to get my dental work done, which is something I'd been wanting to do for quite a while, and I finally got that done at the very beginning of March 2020. So, like a year and a half ago, I think it's been almost 2 years ago at this point, I had been to the dentist and I knew that I was in need of a lot of dental work. I knew I was most likely going to need a root canal, back on a molar. I had a broken tooth that needed an extraction, and another chipped tooth up front. I was wanting to get some crowns or caps to kind of improve the overall appearance of my smile. There's, quite a bit of stuff that I wanted to get done, but even not cosmetically, I had work that I really needed to get done, and I had insurance at the time. And for the work that I was looking at getting done, which was going to be an extraction, a root canal, and I think we had 4 crowns. With insurance, my out-of-pocket was going to be between $14,000 and $16,000, and that is just not something that I was in a position to take care of. So I started looking at alternatives, and I'd heard from multiple sources that, Mexico was a great place to go for cheap dental work and the quality was just as good. So I started researching, and, and I did find some horror stories. I found people that got there and the dentist's office was dirty, or maybe when they called, the person that answered the phone spoke English, but then when they got to the actual clinic, nobody spoke English, and so there was issues communicating. But then I read other stories that were fantastic. People said, it was a great experience, and they're so happy that they went. So I started looking for reviews and things like that, trying to find the offices that I wanted to go to, and I found the dentist that I felt the most comfortable with. The office had good reviews, clean, staff spoke English, and I was able to communicate by email and letting them know, hey, this is the work that I know that I need to have done, any idea on the cost. They're very transparent with their pricing. So the good news is that almost all of them are kind of the same price down there. So you don't really have to shop around as far as the price is concerned. You just want to maybe shop around to find whoever it is that you're the most comfortable with. Maybe you speak Spanish, and so it doesn't matter if the staff speaks English or not. But price-wise, they're all about the same, in spite of the fact that when you get there, they have people on the street that are trying to get you to come to their dentist's office, and all of them are saying they have the lowest prices in town. And I think everybody has the lowest prices in town because they pretty much all have the same prices. So, the town that I went to is called Los Algodones, and it is right across the border from Baja, California. Now, I stayed in Yuma, Arizona, and our hotel was about a 15-minute trip to the border. And so I'll kind of do like a quick overview of the actual experience with the dentist, and then some things, some kind of tips or things I wish I had known in advance. So my first appointment was Monday, and I went at 10 o'clock in the morning, Arizona time. Mexico is actually in a different time zone, but the office is all run by Arizona time, since it seems like that's where most of the people are coming from. So 10 o'clock in the morning, I went and I got x-rays, and then I sat and talked with the dentist about all of the things that I needed to have done and went over the expenses. And because such a long time had passed, I had things that had progressed and gotten worse. I've had issues with my teeth most of my life because Little backstory here, I suffer from chronic migraine disorder, and I have since I was a child. And so, you know, at the age of 10, I was plagued by migraines that would be so intense that they would make me sick to my stomach. And I spent a lot of time vomiting as a child. As a matter of fact, my pediatrician once jokingly referred to me as the involuntary bulimic. And for those that don't know, lots of vomiting leads to a breakdown of the enamel on the teeth. And, sorry, I'm having a kitty that's causing problems here. Hey, knock it off. Don't do it. Sorry. Anyway, oh, right. So that's led to a lot of issues with my teeth over the years. And so I was in need of a root canal with a crown, 6 crowns across the front, some of which were necessary to deal with broken or chipped teeth, and then the others were more cosmetic, but to give me a more uniformed look with my smile. And then I had a broken tooth that needed an extraction and a bone graft, which eventually we will have a implant put in there after the bone heals. Excuse me 1 second, I have to kill a kitty. So sorry. Anyway, okay, so that was the deal with the dentist: root canal, extraction, bone graft, and a total of 7 crowns. And I was starting to get a little bit nervous about what this was going to end up costing me, and we decided on a porcelain crown for the back because it's not really visible. I wasn't really worried about it, but for the front we went with the zirconia crowns, which are more expensive, but they also have the most realistic, natural look to them. So the grand total for the dental work, including x-rays, cleaning, root canal, porcelain crown, 6 zirconia crowns, extraction, and bone graft, was $3,910. And that was with no insurance. As you can see, that is a drastic difference from the $14,000 to $16,000 out of pocket with insurance that I was given by my U.S. dentist. I honestly couldn't believe it. So even with all of the other expenses that came into play by going to Arizona and then to Mexico for the dental work, it was less than half of what I would have been anticipating here. And my other expenses were even higher than they could have been for someone else. Because my fiance was concerned about me traveling alone. He wasn't able to go with me, so he actually paid to fly my best friend from South Carolina. She met me in Arizona and stayed with me during the time that I was there. So the dentist bill was $3,910. I did have to take a trip to the pharmacy, which is right across the street from the dentist's office, and again, significantly cheaper than you would find in the U.S. I was not using insurance for anything. There are most of the dentist's office there do accept some forms of insurance. So if this is something that you're contemplating, you can always check and see if they take your kind of insurance. At the pharmacy, I got an antibiotic, 2 supplements to help the bone graft take, a mouthwash and a toothpaste that the dentist recommended, and all of that cost me $87.32. So less than $100 at the pharmacy. The total for the pharmacy and the dentist was $3,997.32, which is just a little bit unbelievable to me. I mean, really unbelievable. So we did have, there were extra expenses because, of course, there were airline tickets. There was the hotel. There was food. There was transportation. There was parking for me to leave my car at the airport in Orlando for a week, 6 days. So counting all of that, the extras were $2,174.62. So that was 2 plane tickets, the hotel room. There was a day where my friend and I got a day pass for the bus so that we could kind of explore Yuma a little bit. There was my airport parking. There was the Ubers that were taken. There was food. One day we went to an escape room, and then some groceries. So the grand total for the whole thing was $6,171.94, which is less than half of the low estimate that I got in the US. Unbelievable. The actual experience was Monday. I got my x-rays, I got a cleaning, we laid out the plan, and then I got all of my prep work done. So Monday I was at the dentist for 5 hours, which is a long time. The root canal especially hurt. The nerve was actually so inflamed that the Novocaine wasn't getting there. So they had to drill through basically with no numbing until the nerve was exposed, and then he just shot the numbing agent directly into it. That was actually the worst pain I've ever had in my life. Also found out that I'd had a crown done on this front tooth years ago, and I've always kind of had issues with like my gum up here, and then I find out from this dentist that when this crown was put on that they actually kind of went too deep with it. He said anything more than like a millimeter into the gum line causes irritation and inflammation, and it just kind of stays irritated. And it kind of makes sense because this always felt a little odd up here, and periodically I would kind of develop a little abscess high up in the gum. And now that I've had this work done, that feels fine. So we did all my prep work. He put some temporary crowns on and sent me on my way. Tuesday they were making the crowns in the lab. My friend Emily and I, we went and kind of checked out the little historic downtown area, which was cute. We went and did an escape room. You know, I mean, I had pain, but it was bearable. It was tolerable. I opted not to really do any painkillers other than I was taking some Tylenol, and that was it. And then I went back Wednesday, and Wednesday was a shorter day. Wednesday was getting all the permanent crowns put on, was having the extraction done, and then the specialist came in to do the actual bone grafting. And I did leave with a couple of stitches in my mouth that there's still one left in there. The others have slowly come where I'm able to pull them out, but I still have one left in there. And that was pretty much it as far as the dental work goes. It was fast, it was cheap, I have no complaints, it looked good, I was really happy with the way that it came out. And so now I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that were for me kind of unexpected, little surprises, or things I had wished that I had known about in advance. The big one was transportation. So I was originally going to rent a car at the airport, and then we would just have a car. But it seemed like it was gonna cost more than I would want to pay, especially since I figured I might not always feel like running around, and there might be times we were just hanging out at the hotel room, which in all honesty is what happened, especially that last day. So it seems like it would have been kind of useless to have had the car. So I decided to instead rely on Ubers and public transportation. So the downside to that was that on Monday, when I was getting my first Uber to the border, the driver asked me, you know, hey, have you made arrangements for how you're going to get back to your hotel? And I assumed that she was trying to pick up an extra fare. So I said, you know, I'll probably just take an Uber back, but I just don't know what time that's going to be yet. And she said, well, you're not going to be able to get an Uber here. Because where I was crossing, I was staying in Arizona, but the crossing is technically in California. And so she said, if you try and get an Uber, it won't go to any of the drivers in Arizona because Uber will not let them leave their state to pick up a fare. If they have a fare that needs to go, for example, she picked me up in Arizona, she could take me to California, but she couldn't come from Arizona to pick me up in California. And she said, and the area of California that you're in is so small that there actually isn't any Uber there. So you're not going to be able to get an Uber. She said, but don't worry because there are taxis sometimes that hang out right around this area, which I found out later to not really be the case. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, I'm just saying I never saw that. The only cabs that I saw there were ones that someone had called for or that was dropping someone off there. I did luck out that first day because it turns out I had no internet service there. It was, I couldn't have used the Uber app if I wanted to, like nothing would connect. I couldn't look up any taxi numbers because the service just wasn't there for it. I did luck out and met this nice older couple they were actually also staying in Yuma, and they were in line in front of me, headed back to, you know, waiting to cross the border back into the US, and very kindly offered to give me a ride to my hotel. So I really lucked out there. The other thing that kind of surprised me was the actual crossing of the border. Going from the US into Mexico, there's no security. You literally just walk through. They have one of those spinning gates that sometimes you'll see at like subway stations or, you know, theme parks. And we just walked right through, and that was it. You're in Mexico. Coming back, both times I was in line for over an hour. Monday coming back, it was an hour and a half, and that was also getting caught in a hellacious storm. There was hail and then the coldest rain I have ever felt in my life. We were all soaked to the bone. It was miserable. And there's lots of locals there that are kind of selling different ponchos and purses and hats and little trinkets and little snacks and bottles of water and what have you. And then it was quick coming across the border. They just want to know, you know, what you're bringing back over. And both times just kind of breezed on through. It was quick with security, show the passport, let them know what you're bringing back, right through. And that was Monday. And then, like I said, Tuesday, my friend and I went exploring, did an escape room. Wednesday, I got the stuff finished up. Thursday, we really just hung out at the room. Probably the worst part of the whole trip is that neither one of us slept very well. The hotel that we stayed in was perfectly fine. And the location was good. It was walking distance to a grocery store, and there was a really great restaurant especially for breakfast, because our hotel didn't do any kind of breakfast, but there was a great place for breakfast right next door. But we weren't sleeping well, neither of us. The beds weren't really working for us, and I had some pain, and so Thursday we just really had a lazy day, and then super early Friday morning we were back at the airport and headed for home. So things I wish that I would have known in advance. The big one was the transportation. So if you choose to do this, I would say either one, rent your car, rent your own car. There is a parking lot right at the border. I think it's $10 or $15 for the day to park. And you can park there and then walk across the border, and then when you're ready to go, your car's waiting right there. Or take the numbers of cab companies with you when you go, which I was prepared for that Wednesday when I went back. I had some cab numbers with me, but I ended up in conversation with my Uber driver, and he said, you know, hey, look, I don't want you to get stuck here, so just in case, here's my cell phone number. You can call me directly rather than use the Uber app. They're probably not supposed to do that, but I appreciated it, and I did call him and have him come pick me up, and I did, you know, pay him for that trip as well. So that was kind of it for me. I will include a couple of links in the description. I will try and put in the website for the dentist that I went to, and if you email them with any questions, it is actually the dentist who responds to it, which was also nice. So I'll include the link to the dentist's office, maybe the hotel that I stayed at, and if there's any questions, that anything that I didn't cover that you're curious about or you wanted more information on, send me a message, leave a comment, and I'll do whatever I can to help answer the questions. So for me, I would say great experience, highly recommend, and something to consider if you have a lot of work that you need done. In that same town, you can also get cheap eyeglasses, and the pharmacies and liquor stores down there are unbelievably cheap. So even if you're just ever kind of in that general area, it can be worth it to go and stock up on some things. And I guess that's it. See you next time.